Hey everybody, welcome back to About This Aging Thing. Black may not crack, but what about the other shit? And for us, shit is an acronym that stands for sex, health, interest, and truth. And today we have Miss Quinnie of Quinnie's Kitchen, who's going to be speaking to us about menopause and just holistic health, and what she does to help women get through that M word. Quinnie is she takes a holistic approach to health and wellness with a focus on healthy lifestyle choices such as nutrition and green living. Welcome, Quinnie.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for being on the show.
Yay!
All right, so she has lots of things to share with us, but I'm gonna start with a couple of questions to get us, you know how we do, to get us warmed up. Tell us how you got started in holistic. Am I saying this right when I say holistic healing?
Well, it's
I feel like you're a healer.
Well, it's a lifestyle. So it's a holistic lifestyle. I like to call it a green living lifestyle. And I started this journey over 30 years ago when I was in my early 20s. I had a teacher who introduced me to the concept of not eating meat. And he shared how bad meat is for your body. And so that resonated with me, and so I stopped eating meat like right around 21. And then when I met my husband, just took it a step further, started just researching about the chemicals and the impacts of the chemicals on our bodies. And then I started a family and just really knew that I wanted to live a clean, green lifestyle. So what I do is it's a lifestyle, it's a way of life.
Is a clean, green lifestyle equal to a vegan lifestyle, or how does it differ if it's different?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally different in that, if you're vegan, then you're not eating any animal products. So I've taken it a step further, and not only do we not eat animal products, also I'm very conscious about, like I said, the environmental toxins that are in my personal environment. So I have, for over 30 years, been using all natural cleaning supplies. Either I purchase them or make them myself. I don't perm my hair, wear my hair natural, and just, buy organic produce. And far as even the paint that we use on our wall, we use the non-organic paints, and we've been doing that for well over 20 years. And so it's really about living a life where I am limiting our exposure to toxins, the ones that I have direct control over. So that's why I call it's a clean, green lifestyle.
Okay, great. I want to give the audience some clarity on that. Tell us about Quinnie's Kitchen. I've heard lots of things about it, and the way I met you was through someone else who said you need to talk to Quinnie. She makes these great things for your body, and I'll talk about that. We'll come to that later as far as my own personal experience with Quinnie's product. But tell us about Quinnie's Kitchen and what you do there.
Yeah, so Quinnie's Kitchen again is a lifestyle brand. So when people think kitchen, they think, oh, it's about food. I am an excellent vegan chef, so I can really cook, y'all. Been doing that for a very long time. I became vegan. I didn't, it was a challenge, especially 30 years ago. It's like, okay, how do I do this? And so I kind of struggled, my husband will tell you, in the beginning with it, but I taught myself how to prepare, wonderful cooked and raw vegan food. So a lot of my friends and people who know me, they absolutely love my food, and I love preparing food for people. It's like a love language for me. I love to feed people because the kitchen, being in the kitchen with my grandmama and food was such a way of how she showed us love. So love food. But the kitchen part, people will get thrown off and think, okay, it's it's all about food. So, but it is about food, but it's about the food that we feed our bodies on a physical level and emotional and a spiritual level. So Quinnie's Kitchen is a holistic approach to living where we focus on nourishing the body, the mind, and the spirit. So I create activities and products and tools to help people really heal all parts of themselves. So that's what Quinnie's Kitchen is about.
That's great. So what did you tell us what you brought here today?
Yeah, so what I brought with me today, I'm an herbalist. I'm a folk herbalist, and so excited to be able to share these products with you. This product here is called Fire Goddess, which absolutely love the name Fire Goddess, and it's a anti-inflammatory syrup that's made with these beautiful root plants, such as turmeric, ginger, and Thai pepper. So these are all like ingredients that really help with anti-inflammatory, help to reduce inflammation in the body, also helps with digestion and stimulating the body's immune system. So this is like one of my favorite products and one of my top products. So.
Can I see that for a minute?
Yeah.
Just see that for a minute. Let's put this
It is
here.
absolutely
How
wonderful.
can we get this?
So you can visit, I have a website at quinnieskitchen.com, which is QUINNIES kitchen.com. And at that site, you can purchase my products and also learn more about my classes and different things that I do.
All right, what you got there?
Oh, okay.
Look, she's like,
So, okay.
I'm just gonna hold this over here.
Pine needle. So when
Yes.
people think of like, we're in Georgia, so we have like a lot of pine trees. And sometimes people get really irritated when they see these needles fall in their yard. They're like everywhere, and people just want to get rid of the needles. But people don't realize that pine needles are medicinal, and they are food, they are medicine. And so this is a tincture that's made with the needles of the pine needles from the pine tree. And so the pine needles are extremely high in vitamin C, one of the highest sources of vitamin C out there. And it's also great for breaking up mucus in the body, stimulating the immune system. Kind of think pine saw, you know how pine saw people use it to clean and disinfect. So pine needle is gonna disinfect the body. So it's so amazing.
Let's pause real quick. I just wanted to say this. I actually use this. I think I've had 3 bottles of it. The first bottle I got because someone suggested that I talk to Quinnie about what was going on with me. And I used it and I felt so much better. Like, I want to say almost instantly, but I'm scared to say that because people are different.
Yes.
And everybody may not have that experience. But for me, it was almost instant. And if I felt a little in my throat, I would go ahead and take a... And remember, you were like, don't take too much because I was getting a little carried. It's very addicted. But it really worked for me. I just want to mention that. So thank you for that.
Yeah. The thing is, when it comes to when we use herbals, like they kind of fall into multiple categories. But, you know, these products are made with food, like food that is also medicine. So whenever you consume a food that we can use as medicine all the time, then it becomes more of a nourishing of the body. So if you want to use it as medicine to like eliminate something that's happening right now in the moment, then you don't want to take it all the time because then the body will kind of, you know, kind of be like, okay, this is food, this is nourishment. So it's not going to really kick in that action, that power that it has. So.
Right. She tried to tell me that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I listened, but she tried.
And then the last product I brought to share is called ginkgo, and ginkgo is a beautiful. It's made from the leaves of the ginkgo tree, which you can find in Metro Atlanta. They plant ginkgo trees as ornamental, but the leaves are extremely powerful. Been used in Chinese medicine for hundreds of years. Really great for brain health, memory. And so that's ginkgo.
Let me just see that for a minute. Put that in my little pile over here. No, I'm just kidding.
So,
I'm gonna put this right here so you all can see it. All right, and we'll talk again about how you can get it if you want to get it. But I do want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, totally.
So I know we're going to talk about menopause. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about menopause, and I wanted to do this part first with you, Quinnie, because I wanted the audience to know that you get a lot of your herbs yourself. She actually goes out into the woods, and I want you to talk about that just a little bit, about how natural, we're talking about natural, it's really natural. And I want to know if any of these products, I feel like all of these products can help with menopausal things that we go through. So I wanted to talk about, first tell us about how you get your how how extensive as you want to get, as far as how you get your product to come to this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I want to talk about how, if at all, these products, I feel like they can, based on what you just said, can help with menopausal effect. And then we're going to move into the menopause.
Yeah.
All right.
So, like I said, I've been living this lifestyle for over 30 years, and I started using herbs like 30 plus years ago. And I, like many people, would, run to the health food store, or, I mean, now you can pretty much go to the grocery store. Many places they sell herbs, but 30 years ago, pretty much if you wanted an herb, you had to go to a health food store. Mm-hmm. And so I used the book that's very popular called Back to Eden. And so I would look in there and determine, like, okay, this is the herb for this is the herb for that. In addition, my husband is also a holistic doctor. So this way of life has always been just an integral part of our lives, and it's how I would treat my children. Like if they had any type of ailment, it was, let me go to the doctor and let me get diagnosed. And as soon as I get that diagnosis, I would run home, I would look in my herb book, mm-hmm. and I would use herbs and diet in order to bring their bodies back into balance. And 99.9% of the time, the herbals and making whatever dietary adjustments by either removing something from their diet or adding something to the diet, they got well. And so fast forward to present, I was introduced to this whole concept that, these plants that you are consuming in capsules in a bottle, they actually grow around. They're like right outside your door. Right. And so then I just was very inspired by that. So I would just say I've been using herbs for 30 years, but I have known plants and how to identify them for the past 4 years. So since then, I have not purchased anything from a health food store except for like vitamins or like vitamin D or vitamin C. But otherwise, everything that I use as far as on a herbal remedy perspective, I actually forage for. I go out and find them in nature in our urban forest here in Atlanta, or I grow it in my garden, or I get it from other herbalists. So
you have a name for that, don't you? Take people on.
Well, going out and actually gathering plants to use as medicine or for food, that's called foraging. So I forage and I teach other people how to do the same, but I also lead forest bathing walks, which are basically meditative walks in the forest, allowing people to connect to their spiritual self and to connect to nature. And so I've been doing that for the past 2 years. So like I said, what I do is I have a way of life that has worked for me, and I like to share that with others.
Yeah, and all this is gonna come together as far as the menopause goes. So I just want to also mention that I've been on one of those trips to the forest, and y'all know I'm from Brooklyn, and so I'm not really big on the forest. I'm not saying that everybody from New York doesn't like the forest. I'm just saying me, I'm a concrete girl, bricks and all, but I really enjoyed being out in the forest, learning about the trees and the herbs that we saw, and we saw mushrooms out there. And just becoming one, and then we had a whole meditation thing, and then we had to create something from what we found. That was so much fun. I felt like I was back in middle school and just free to have fun with other like minds. And Quinnie does a great job of directing that. It's so worth the time in your day, and the cost is all worth it. So if y'all ever want to get with nature and learn something, this is the lady to do it with. Now, you're welcome. We're going to move on now. You brought something that, you guys, that we always have something to sip on, and it's not always alcohol. It's been apple juice. You've seen that. And today is going to be a tea. So Quinnie has brought 2 teas. Yep. She's going to tell us about, and we're going to put them in these cups for me to try. She already knows what they taste like, and I'm going to choose one to put in my cup, and we'll be sipping on that for the rest of the show.
Okay. So
tell us about this one.
Yeah. So the first, this is not a tea. This is a actual, probably more like a broth.
A broth. Actually. Okay, that's right. You did say
broth.
that. Okay.
So it's a nourishing broth. And this broth is made with 5 different types of mushrooms, because mushrooms are super, super important for our health and well-being. And it's also made with this wild plant called wild lettuce, which is right now in abundance in Metro Atlanta, growing wild. And the wild lettuce is really great for, it has a substance in it that can help with pain, but it's a wild green, so it's going to be extremely high in minerals. So the purpose of this beverage here is for nourishment. And as we talk about going into menopause, nourishment is extremely important. So this broth here is all about nourishing the body.
Okay, and I love mushrooms, so I'm excited. And if I don't like it, I'm gonna tell the truth.
I'm just gonna give you a little taste.
Little something. All right, let's see it.
So
there's some herbs in there. Oh my God, it smells so good.
It smells mushroom.
Oh, it smells so good. Let me try it again. Make sure I like it. Make sure it's good. It's good. It's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
So, so I brought 2 beverages.
Yeah, that's
so now
good.
you get to choose which one resonates with you.
It's so vibrant. I'm sorry.
Really important is what resonates with you, because oftentimes there will be like products and foods and things that are like, okay, this is really, really good for you, and everybody will recommend it, but it may not resonate with you. So it's important to tap into like how does it make your body feel, because it may be good for everyone else, may not be good for you. So that's why I brought you an option.
Right.
So next we have a tea blend, and this tea blend again supports the whole concept of nourishment. And so it's made with like 5 different plants. It's made with holy basil, lemon balm, oak straw. It has some, what else? A little mint in here. And then it's flavored with a rosemary syrup. So, yeah, so let's see what you think.
And tell me what it's good for.
So, so this is, again, all about nourishment. And it's also, these herbals are adaptogens. And so, what an adaptogen does is that it helps the body to deal with stress.
Oh, wow.
And so it really, but stress from a more internal level. So not like inflammation, but or stress like I have anxiety, but more so internal stress, the stress that we internalize that will be absorbed into the cells and the organs of the body. So it's going to help the body to just really adapt, release, and embrace and let go.
Wow. Yes, pour some of that.
So, let's see what you think.
That's okay. That's me. I'm excited. It sounds like everything you've talked about thus far will help anyone who's going through menopause. Because it's addressing a lot of things that I know that my friends are going through and I've gone through.
Yeah. And then it's also stinging nettles is in here as well, which is and alfalfa. So it's also a tea blend that's rich in minerals.
This is
the one. This is the one you're resonating with.
I'm gonna sip on that.
Okay.
I need some of that mushroom for later for lunch. I'm just saying.
Yes.
You make all this in your kitchen?
I do. I have we can't use the word apothecary as herbalist.
I can't even say that.
But an herbal studio.
Oh, I got a whole cup.
I have an herbal studio in my home, which is so wonderful. At one point, I used to run to the health food store whenever I needed herbals, but now it's right in my dining room. And what's so beautiful is that most of the things that are there, I forage. So all of these plants that are in this tea, I actually forage for myself, or other herbalists shared it with me. So.
Forage. Remember, that means she's out in the woods, in the forest, getting what she needs to make these fabulous, fabulous products that are going to help us with our menopause.
Yeah, and it's the way that our grandparents lived and our great-great-grandparents lived. Because you have to remember, many of you may or may not know this, but there was one point in time when enslaved Africans did not have access to health care. There was no trained medical doctor that was in their community. So we were our own healers. We were our own medicine women and
Speak
medicine
that.
men.
Yes, that's
And
right.
so they knew the plants. So they would go out and get their medicine and gather it and make medicine to take care of themselves and heal themselves. So this is a tradition that is part of our lineage. And so I just have tapped into it. It's found me, and I love to share it with others. But it's important for us to really learn this knowledge, because what would happen if you can't get to the pharmacy, if you can't get to the health food store? I mean, we're just coming out of a pandemic, so we know what it looks like if we can't have access, if we don't have access. But our ancestors did not have access.
Period.
So this was a necessity to know these plants. So so this is the way our grandparents lived.
Well, let's pause for a moment and cheer to that.
Okay, yes.
Cheer to you
and our
ancestors. Yes. Okay. Now, let's talk about menopause a little bit. We've actually had, the reason this came up is because some of our viewers have sent me a note or comment that say, when are you going to talk about menopause? So this won't be the only time we talk about menopause. I'm almost certain we're going to have Quinnie back. And we'll have other people talking about menopause as well, but from the holistic side, I want to talk about what we can do holistically to help ourselves. And I don't know how comfortable you are with talking about your own experience, and I'm going to talk about my menopause experience. It's going to take about 2 minutes. Really, this is going to be short, because mine, y'all going to be mad at me. Some people, my friends are like, whatever, because my menopause experience is very different from some of my other friends, but let's go talk about yours.
Yeah. Well, if we talk about menopause, we kind of start with, if we go one step back, and we talk about perimenopause, which is a term that most people don't know about, never heard of. At least I didn't know about it. I didn't grow up hearing anything about perimenopause. I grew up hearing about menopause because it was always talked about in such a negative light. So I heard about menopause, but I did not understand perimenopause. And it's really important for us to talk about perimenopause as we lead into the discussion of menopause, because perimenopause starts about 20 years, actually in your mid-20s, about 20 years before menopause. And as you get older, so it starts around 25, so as you get more into your 30s, then you go to the second stage of perimenopause, where oftentimes women will have these symptoms of heavy bleeding and irregular periods and anxiety and depression and bloating and constipations. It's just, they'll get into their 30s and it's like, okay, my body's changing, what's going on? And what's going on for many women is that they've entered this second stage of perimenopause. And so the things that you do during perimenopause can impact your experience once you get to menopause. So menopause is when the period ceases. We no longer bleed anymore. Right. And then at that moment, once it's been a year, you haven't had a period for 1 year, then you're now in menopause, and then you're now immediately going to what they call postmenopause. And postmenopause can last for some women up to 10 years. You can be in postmenopause. So when some women go into postmenopause, they are having the symptoms of the hot flashes and the vaginal dryness and low libido and depression and hair loss, because estrogen has dropped and you don't really have much of it left anymore. Right. And so that's menopause. That's the menopause experience for many women. My experience with menopause was, I had the experience of the perimenopause, so irregular periods, heavy bleeding, etc. I went through that, but when I actually got to the point of the menopause, it was pretty much a very, very seamless transition. I didn't have no hot flashes, it was pretty, I didn't have any symptoms, not the ones that people talk about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of felt like I would probably not have any major symptoms like what other women talk about because of just the fact that I've been plant-based for, by that time, well over 20 years. And so I hadn't consumed any meat, wasn't eating dairy. We don't fry food in our house, no white flour. So, I mean, definitely there's some things, some imbalances there. But those things were not a part of my life for well over 20 years. So menopause was not a major problem for me. But, so tell me about your experience.
Yeah. So mine was very similar. Mine was, I was in the throes of a family crisis when I think my body was trying to do what it was trying to do. I never forget one time I was at work and I asked one of my team mates, I asked him like 4 times the same question. And he looked at me and said, "You okay?" Because you just asked me that, like, this is like the 3rd time now you asked me. And then I asked him again, like later on. And I was like, you know what? I think I might be going through something. I was feeling a little foggy in the brain. And just one day I just happened to realize, hey, I haven't had a period. Because I was so enthralled in what I was going on with my family, I just didn't even think about me. I did experience the hair loss, the fogginess. I had maybe 3 I call them power surges, where I was like, whew, it's kind of hot, but I've never had like a night sweat. I've never had any of the other things. And then it came and went. And somebody said, well, you just wait because it's not over, blah, blah, blah. But that was 6 years ago. I think it's over. Yeah, I think it's over. So it was pretty easy, my whole point. And I was calling my family, the females in my family, to say, hey, how was it for you? Because they say it runs genetically, how sometimes it could be genetic, how it functions. Right. They also say if you have your period early, like I had my period at 10, so they say if you have your period early, then your menopause, your whole experience is less. And if you have your period like after 14, it's worse. I don't know if that's true or not, but it worked. It was that for me, like easy and seamless, and those are the only 3 symptoms I had. And when I tell my friends that, they're like, "Oh, shut up," because they're going through so much, and I just don't even talk about it in front of most people because they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But so I know everybody's not like that. I have friends who have stuck their head in the freezer because, because they're so hot. I hear about the dryness. I hear about the aches and pains. Like some people have gone to the doctor. My doctor actually told me this about a few months ago too, and to confirm it, that you think it might be arthritis because people automatically think every ache and pain after 50 is arthritis. But she was saying that sometimes it's hormonal. Sometimes it's because you're going through menopause that you have these pains and the inflammation. I never knew that. So that's been my experience.
So that's the thing, is that there are so many symptoms of menopause. So, we definitely could have experienced some things. Because, I've definitely had my body aches and imbalances, etc. So, I didn't go through those major big ones when it comes to menopause, but definitely there are other things, that I have experienced on this whole journey. But also, your mindset can impact how you feel on the physical level when it comes to menopause. Like I said, people in this Western society look at menopause in such a negative light. When a woman goes through menopause, now she's old, she's this, she's that. And so as girls, we grow up hearing people talk about menopause in such a negative light that some of us will dread actually getting there. And that whole mental mindset of like how you feel about the process can totally impact, your experience with menopause. And I definitely, if I would have like a hot moment, I would totally embrace that and be like, whoa, this is a superpower. This is wonderful, And so, and I've never looked at aging as being like a really negative thing, because I had so many role models of senior sisters who were older, and I saw how they were maneuvering through life and just having a wonderful time and just involved and looking good and dressing good. I that was inspiring. So I didn't look at like, okay, menopause is going to be something negative. I'm like, it's going to be just another transition in life.
Yeah.
So definitely that mindset is important, and that's going to help you get through it with grace. And then also nourishment. So that's why I brought the teas and the broth, because nourishing your body is so important. And as I can just say for myself personally, I'm the mother of 6 children. I had a husband who worked all the time. He was gone. So I was left to pretty much raise these 6 children by myself on a physical level. And so in my early 20s and 30s, it was just so much wear and tear on my body. Like literally I gave everything away and to leave anything on the table for myself.
Wow.
So at this phase of my life, it's about nourishing me, because I didn't do, even though I wasn't eating meat and had a clean green life, but I had a whole bunch of stress and a lot that I was going through as far as trauma and childhood trauma, and then raising the 6 children and just a lot, marriage and parents, transitioning, losing people. I mean, it was just a lot. Right. So at this stage of my life, it's about nourishing myself. And it's about allowing myself time to rest and to reset and to just move a little slower and to drink these nourishing teas and to just nourish myself. So that is the season as we transition to this next stage of life. We've given everything to everybody, but at this phase, it's really about us taking the time to give and pour into ourselves and to nourish ourselves. And so that is what everything that I do is creating a space for people to be able to slow down, be still, rest, and nourish yourself on a physical level with eating nourishing foods and teaching people like what those foods are, but then also taking people out in the forest and spending time with nature and connecting with nature so that we can just slow down. Because this body that we have, these beautiful bodies that the Creator created, I mean, like whoever created us, they are just phenomenal, right? They are, and we are like so tapped into that energy. But the only way you're going to tap into that energy is to slow down. We have to slow down. And maybe our 20s and 30s, that's what it's about. We got all this energy. I'm looking at my daughters who are just like moving and shaking and doing all this stuff. And I'm just like, slow down, slow down. They're like, of course they saw their mother just moving like that, right? And so maybe your 20s and your 30s, like, hey, we have that love fire and that energy, and that's the time to do that. But as we transition to these beautiful years, these sage years, these wisdom years, it's our opportunity to pour back into ourselves. We cannot continue to move around like we're in our 20s and 30s, even if you have the energy. I have plenty of energy, but that energy needs to go inward to replenish me. Yeah. And so that is how we move into these menopausal years, these, I like call these sage years, whether you're male or female. We move into these years by being still, going inward, and nourish ourselves. So
yeah. Thank you for that. You made me think about, I was teasing with my friends and say my brain wants to do one thing, but my body's like, no, we're not doing that. Because my brain has me want to do things, and my body's like, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah, we're not going to do that. But, and I get it. And so you know how you look at your grandma, your great grandma, and your mom, and you wonder like the way they move, like it makes so much sense to me now that I'm in a different bracket, that I get why they move the way they move, to preserve themselves and to keep them, because they kept themselves very well. Can I see those bottles again? I wanted to just, what this did for me, the things you talked about, the things that are in your product, I keep saying things, the plants, the ingredients and the plants that are in your product, they address a whole lot of what women are going through with menopause. And I didn't even know that was going to be the case when I asked you to bring. I just know that you make great products. I should have known you were going to know what to bring because you know what we were talking about. But I really need this bottle. But I want you to tell everybody, like this one, it has the turmeric. So if you have inflammation, I don't know, menopause can bring that on, and ginger.
Yeah.
It's addressing that. And then the other one is addressing like the foggy brain that you get.
Yes, with the ginkgo. And actually, it was, I guess, I kind of like grabbed some of the products that kind of resonated and things that people really like and I sell a lot of. But, you know, when we think about turmeric and we think about ginger, the two things they have in common is that they are root vegetables, right? They're root plants. And so the season that we're in right now is that season of rooting in. And so consuming those root plants and vegetables are just really, really important. So that's why it's called Fire Goddess. Because
I love that.
Like we have to root in and tap in because we all are, as women, we are goddesses. We don't know it. We've forgotten who we are.
Some of us. Yeah.
Many of us. When I say we have the broader, because really and truly, I can remember who I am, but if my sisters don't, we're all connected. We're all one, right? So, so that more broader, us not knowing like who we are. But but that's what this product really helps you to just root in, and it does that inner root work. And so, so I have a lot of different products. You can go to my website and you can find some of them. My top ones, I can't put everything there, so I have about 6 or 7 that are just like the top products. But I also do consultations with people. So if there's something specific that's happening in your body that's specific to you, I can put together a custom blend. I'm an intuitive, so I know what these plants do, but I also know which ones need to be put together specifically for what's going on with you.
Tell us what the website is.
The website is QuinniesKitchen.com, and that's QUINNIES kitchen.com.
And how much of this would I have to take a day? Is it daily? Because I know you be slowing me down.
I always tell people you can use it, ideally, you use it for about 15 days and then you kind of take a break. And let the body, we want to always like make certain that the body doesn't lose its own healing power. So the herbals are designed to just kind of aid the body, to kind of stimulate the body, sometimes give the body a little push, a little nudge, but we don't want to create dependency on these plants, so we just kind of take them and then we let them rest and then, maybe pick it up again, but we don't want to create a dependency on herbs the way people are dependent on pharmaceuticals. So we just want to use them and then just, let food be your nourishment. So
this is awesome. You have been an awesome guest and extremely informative, and I really appreciate you bringing this to us. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thanks for having me.
So I hope you ladies, and if any gentlemen are watching and you want to pass this on to a lady that might be going through some menopausal situations that they might want to take a holistic route to address, please get in touch with Miss Quinnie at Quinnie's Kitchen. And thank you for joining us about this aging thing. Black may not crack, but what about the other shit? I'm your host, Sabrina, and until the next show, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Let me have some more of that tea. I did that on purpose. I thought that'd be cute.